point. Hopefully this is what we're recording. Welcome to the fireside gathering of the authors of I Didn't Become Selfish, I Became Harder to Manipulate. I'm Sara Jane, the lead author of the book, and I am delighted for this program to be joined by Linda Marsanico. Linda, hello.
Hello, Sara. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. And Sara Troy. Sara, thank you for joining me. Both of us. It's a real pleasure to have you here.
Delighted to be here and to be in the book.
Yes.
And folks, if you're feeling a little bit confused because Sara and my names are spelt the same, but they are said differently, that's life. I should be said Sara, but I've always been said Sarah. Okay, I am so pleased to have these beautiful ladies with me for this share, and I hope that you'll enjoy what they're going to be sharing with us. Linda Marsanico, Chapter 20, A Most Challenging Time in My Life, How I Experienced and Came Back from Trauma. Linda, share a little about yourself and why you chose to participate in the book.
Well, I'm a psychologist, an author, an internet radio host, a blogger, and I met you and I've been on your shows and you've been on mine. When you first asked me, I didn't think I had anything to share. And then we wrote about it, you and I realized there was an incident in my teenage years in high school, which became a scandal. And with my parents' reaction to it, they were depressed and really anguished. I internalized all of this, and it took me years with counseling and body work and energetic healing to come through to a place of love and compassion, which is something I always work on. I think of it as a lifelong project. It seems simple, but yet it takes a lot of effort and determination to reach this approaching fifth dimensional vibration.
Bless you, thank you. And Sara, your Chapter 26, Selfish to Self-Love, Learning to Put Yourself First in Order to Serve Others. Share a little about yourself and why you chose to participate.
Well, I was delighted to be asked, and we've known each other for a while, and of course shows back and forth, etc. And I would say we're in the same vibe tribe. So there was a no-brainer to be a part of the book. I'm also a professional podcaster of 13 years, an author, produce anthologies myself. And I know the impact of someone's story, of being vulnerable and sharing that vulnerability out. It helps people see things from a different point of view, a different perspective. Oh, somebody else has gone through that. Oh, gosh, yes, I felt that way, and I was embarrassed, or I was this, I was that. And it's giving permission to have feelings, permission to step into ourselves without apology. And, my particular thing about selfish was because I'm very much a person that lives in the present, in the now, with what I need to know in the now. A lot of people thought I was self-centered because I'd be in the moment. And especially my chapter, I always let things write themselves. So, I got a thought in my head, the fingers get onto the keyboard and off they go. And it came out to do with academics. Because I was a child, very sickly, I did not finish school. So academia was never my strong suit whatsoever. There was always that barrier of that you're not enough. You'll never count because you don't have these degrees, the B's, the D's behind you, etc. And it was always made to feel less than. And it was this whole thing about caring for myself and not chasing the carrot or chasing the illusion, and owning who I am and unapologetically, and being present with who I am without all of that expectation, and that understanding I have universal wisdom. I download my knowledge. It's there when I need it, why I need it, for what I need it for, and to stand by that and not feel guilty about, or even kind of selfish for feeling this way. well, the books don't back that up, but the universe does.
I 100% get it. I wasn't particularly any good at school, but once I went out to work and I was asked to do a day release course, and I came top in the Southwestern Midlands of that course. Yet I was lucky to scrape my O levels at
Yeah.
school. It depends on your teachers. It depends on your interests. It depends how you're taught. And it depends what really speaks to you. And within retail, it's for some reason, it was so easy for me. But school wasn't.
relate.
And seriously, as far as English language is concerned, I had to take it twice because I've never ever understood grammar. And I think the first exam they did, it was all about the grammar side of things. And I still look at the stuff to do with grammar and I think, what the heck does that mean? I have no idea. I'm very lucky. I obviously come from a family who speaks fairly well, education there. So I'm not one of these people that has an awful lot of slang in my language and whatever. We all get there with that. But my learning came from literally listening to how people were, how sentences were formed by family, not by languages. I can't learn languages because they teach you because through grammar. And it was just like, I'd love to learn to speak another language, but you've got to teach me the way I can learn, not teach me the way you're teaching everybody else, because I can't do it. And I think what I've found with so many of my beautiful authors that joined me is we're all meant to be unique and different. We really are. But actually quite a number of us have potentially got what people would call neurodiverse aspects to us. But I think that is beautiful, because what we're saying to everybody with this book is be yourself. That's enough.
Yes.
Don't let others dictate to you. It is okay to say no. And actually, you aren't being selfish. You're protecting yourself.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to stay with you, Sara. I asked each of my guests to choose just a little bit of an extra topic. So we're not constantly talking about the book, but to give you a little bit more than the book, which we hope you'll obviously think about going out and buying. Spiritually following the wisdom of your heart. Share what you mean by that.
Well, to expand it a little further and to definitely understand really how I operate. Because when we talk about neurodiversity, I found out later in life that I have ADD and dyslexia. So, of course, I'm not going to learn the way others, taught. But I call it the knowingness. And I call it the soul wisdom, the universal wisdom, God, universe, spirit, source, what anybody wants to call it. I call it the universal wisdom that speaks through my soul. It resonates with my heart in truth. It gives it to my spirit in action, and my mind finds the clarity it needs when it needs it. And I call that the knowingness. And it's feeling the knowledge to understand what to do with the knowledge, not thinking to feel. Because I think if we think to feel, then we become emotional over something we don't need to become emotional of. When we trust the universal feeling, that's one where we're at one with the core, the head, the heart, the soul, the spirit is all in one alignment. The clarity of what we need to know in that moment is so clear. It is so clear. And I call it the knowingness because it is, I know what I need to know when I need to know it. And I trust that knowledge. I trust even if it's only an inkling of what I need to know. I know enough to take that step forward, to go down this path, to trust I will be led in the right direction because I'm open and aware and ready to receive in trust and in faith and in vulnerability because I am completely aligned with my knowingness. When I come from the head and I try to think a solution, guaranteed I'll go wrong. But when I come from the heart, soul, and spirit, it will always lead me down the right path. So that's what I mean about soul, heart, and spirit. That knowingness is understanding we are either just humanoids without our spiritual being. And when we marry the beingness of us to our human, then we become the human beings and understand it's a partnership with the universe, God, source, energy, whatever you wish to call it. It is a partnership. But the one is wiser than the other. So let this one show you the path. And then as a human, we will know how to walk it and why to walk it.
Bless you. Thank you. Linda, your thoughts on that?
Well, I love the idea of getting information from universe. I used to call it a Gmail, God mail.
Yeah.
When I think in terms of love and compassion, which is really my expertise, I think of something as a lifelong journey, as I mentioned before. And when I think of the Beatles song, All You Need Is Love, it's a very simple statement.
Yes.
The music associated with that is Bach, the French national anthem, other famous musicians, asymmetrical time signatures, which my interpretation is that it's really complicated and that the road to love and compassion is complicated. Now, I've developed a model. I don't know whether you want to talk about this now. I mean, I'm all about alignment. We need to bring ourselves into alignment. And I've worked on a model where I think about what my thoughts are. And if my thoughts are not positive thoughts, of course they come from childhood and they roll around practically unconsciously. When I step back and realize that, I can actually come in and replace those thoughts, not fight with them, but replace them so that I can be kind and loving, because it's all about self-love, as you're saying, alignment, self-love, being able to hear the voice of Creator, which I think comes in through every electron in our body.
Yes.
And then I think in terms of habitual behavioral response. And if I get angry when my friend says something to me and I don't like that I'm getting angry, I can choose to be something else. I can choose to step back. I can choose to say, let me be curious here. And I'm using compassion here. The other thing I find that's very important is to understand my childhood experiences so that I understand the influence, not to dwell there, but to understand the influences so that brings me to alignment with mind, body, spirit, wisdom. Then I think of prayer, which has me know that I'm connected to all that is, meditation, which allows me to move into my multidimensional self, and then I'm able to let go. And when I let go, I become lighter, I move toward the light, and then I allow some space where I can get to recreate myself. And I think that this road to love and compassion is certainly something I'm on and will continue to be on until I float away.
Exactly. And it's necessary. It's imperative. I think that's the healing source of human beings, of this world, of this society. That compassion for self, for love, for each other. This is what's going to be the healing. And it has to start with ourselves.
We do. We absolutely do. And I feel, for me, that there needs to be an intention to be on the spiritual path, and there needs to be an attitude of responsibility to say, okay, I'm having an interaction. Rather than blame that person, let me ask myself, what does it say about me that I'm feeling this way? What can I learn about myself? To ask the questions to get to the core of what's inside of me, and that's Creator. The love is within. So it's a lot of work in the adventure our incarnation.
And excitement.
Yes.
Because when you say work to people who work, when it's exploration, it becomes something totally different. It's like, explore the possibilities, take the path.
Oh, I have that feeling that, Linda, you've just talked about yours as well. But that aside, we'll come back to that in a minute. Sarah, you mentioned sort of about that knowingness, and I've had occasions where, usually when I've been reading something and I'm not the world's best reader, that's part of my problem, for want of a better way. I write massively.
Mm-hmm.
I don't read much, but something has hit me that I've read right in the core of my being. And I see that as being solar plexus. I don't see the core of our being being the heart. It's the solar plexus. And it's hit me right there in the core of my being. And one of those incidents was when reading Conversations with God. And another one was reading, believe it or not, the Da Vinci Code.
Mm-hmm.
When they talked about the fact that Jesus and Mary Magdalene were married. And that hit me so hard in the core of my being, the truth of that.
Yes.
Now, I could freak some people out here, and I apologize for that, but I have lived many lifetimes, as we all have. And I know I was there at that time. So I know, mind you, all our souls are connected, so all our souls know that truth. Whether you feel it in this lifetime is another matter. But I know I was there at that time. I knew them at that time. And so I know the truth of that from my soul's experiences. We have had many, many lifetimes. We've chosen the experiences which may be hard for people to accept. We can come out the other side of these experiences. To me, the majority of us are meant to come outside. Come out the other side of those experiences. We aren't meant to stay stuck in them the whole of our lives. And I hope that what we've shared, even if the experience isn't identical, the way we've felt and the feelings we've shared resonates with you, and the support we've shared within the book, something that speaks to you and supports you to take your courage in your hands and explore who you are. And Linda, you mentioned sort of something about if you're feeling uncomfortable with something that somebody has said. And I've actually been saying this for quite a long time. If somebody says something and you're feeling uncomfortable with it, ask them if they meant what you heard, not what they said, but what you heard, and rephrase it. Don't repeat their words, rephrase it. So that hopefully they can get an understanding of what you felt you heard. Now, if they turn around and say, yeah, absolutely, that's what I meant, you know, you can then take your choice of how you wish to go forward with that.
Right.
But if they turn around and say, no, that's not what I meant at all. But by talking, you can get a better understanding, and you can hopefully prevent an amazing misunderstanding.
Don't assume.
Yes. Communication is so important.
It is absolutely important, because we use words, and a classic for me is my sister, and I know many people love the word service. It is so alien to me, because I've been a waitress, I've been a barmaid, I've done chambermaiding. All of those things are classed as service industries, where you're doing things for people and they're not doing them for themselves. And that's the problem I have with the word service. So we've got to realize, and this, I can't remember what it is. I've said something to my sister and she's gone, oh, it's a word I'm very comfortable with. She's not. Because it means something different to her than it means to me. And so it's actually asking the question,
Yes.
Mhm.
And
In close relationships, one can do that.
Mhm.
Um, and it's important to really, I'm all for good communication. I wouldn't want to leave home without it.
Yeah, exactly. I think people don't realize they can actually ask for clarity. You know, it's like,
yeah,
oh, sorry, did you mean that? This
Mm-hmm.
is this what I'm hearing? And you know, and again, question of the tone. If it's being given in affront, maybe you want to be a little stronger in your response. If it's otherwise, just be inquiring. Am I hearing you right? You know, it's, and if we don't kind of address it, we start take, well, what do they mean by that? And it starts building and building and building, and the other person is actually unaware they've offended you, right? So if you go, you know, kind of like, well, when you say it like that, I kind of get this interpretation. Is that what you meant? You know, let them
Mm-hmm.
have that clarity, or even let them have the awareness that something they've just said could be offending because
Mm-hmm.
they're just probably unaware. And when we call people out of it, maybe they'll become more conscious of what they say with other people. Kind of think before you speak, right? Are the words I'm saying offensive? Could it be perceived that way? Um, and even it's finishing off something and saying, oh, well, what do you think of the subject? And let somebody feel that they have an interpretation of what you've just said. So I think we're afraid to kind of follow through on, well, what did you mean about that? Because, you know,
Yeah.
we immediately judge and, you know, become offended.
You know, it
and I
sort of,
think
go ahead, Sarah.
I was going to say, and if they have meant it the way that you
Hmm.
heard it, it's their stuff. It probably has got absolutely
Exactly.
nothing to do
Hmm.
with you. And so you can choose to walk
Hmm.
away.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And there are some people who will deliberately say things to try and push
Yeah.
buttons.
Yes. Yes.
And it's saying, I'm not going to let
It's,
you.
yeah.
Sorry, Linda, what were you going to add?
It just made me think of assertion,
Mm.
getting my needs met while respecting the rights of others, to make myself known, to say what is real for me, to put it out there in the ether. And of course, sometimes people aren't happy with what we ask for. Sometimes we
Hmm.
don't get what we ask for. And sometimes we can give ourselves what we ask for. By doing some internal work with my younger self, I can find out what I need. If I'm wanting to go out to dinner, there's not a friend to do it, take myself out to dinner.
All the time. Yes. Don't go with company you don't want to be with just because it's company. You could be your own company.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Linda, your topic was love and compassion, but I get the feeling that you actually shared. But have you got any other thoughts on that before I come to Sarah with that?
I want to say that for love and compassion, there is a great need for forgiveness, to forgive ourselves, to forgive others. And forgiveness is not something I think we can just do like that. It's a process. I may need to love myself more before I forgive. I may need to know more. I may need to get a new job. Something may have to happen. But that I know that I'm on the road to forgiveness. Because if it's sitting here, I'm less loving and less compassionate. And then the other thing I would say is to choose love over fear in our daily path. Our spiritual journey is all about us. Compassion is an everyday experience. And let's hang out as close to the love vibration as we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Sarah, your thoughts?
I don't think you can understand love without compassion. I don't think you can embrace love without becoming the love. And that means giving yourself compassion, forgiving yourself for things that you've said and done that you were unaware of at the time. This is not about persecuting yourself. It's not about apologizing for yourself. You know, it's about I didn't know at that time. Now I know better. I do better. I think better. I'm more aware. We say when you're aware, you care. When you care, you do something about it, but you can't be unaware, right? And that awareness is something that just starts broadening the way you look and interact, the way you feel. And I feel that compassion, you get Facebook asking, what's the one word that heal the world? And for me, it's always compassion, because that compassion is the kindness, is the caring, is the consideration, is the collaboration. It's what leads to love. It isn't about, oh, love. Well, what is love? Because if people are in turmoil, if they're in angst, if they're feeling alone or ostracized or fearful, then love is not something that they are feeling. But when you look at people with compassion and understanding and caring, and they say, I see you. And, in my practice, it's always a lot of mirror talk. Say this to your mirror. I see you. I feel you. Whatever mistakes you think you've made in your life, you don't need to apologize. It's where are you now in this time and space? Who are you now? What are you doing now that you would stand tall in, that you're proud of, that you love being, right? And then stepping out and letting your action speak for itself. If we want peace and love in the world, we have to become the peace and love in the world. And that's the journey to become the love. When we are the love, we've raised up to a higher frequency, a higher hertz, and we cannot knowingly hurt anyone else. To do so would be hurt ourselves. It's to hurt the collective. But to understand that and take that journey to that space, you need to start with that compassion for all that we've done that hasn't served us, for all the people that we may have offended along the way unknowingly, right? For all the reactions that we've had that we didn't understand. Now the willingness to know more, to learn more about self. Who am I? Why am I? What am I here to do? How am I here to do it? Right? How can I stand at peace, at one with self? And when you do that, everything about you starts calming down. Everything feels more aligned. It's like a beautiful, deep exhale where you, and then you don't sweat the small stuff, right? You look at the turmoil out there, but you are the center core. Going back to what you're saying about the core for me, if the core says, don't do it, I don't argue. I don't argue. That core is the intellect of the mind, heart, body, soul, and spirit. It is the core compass. And if it says do it, but I still don't know what I'm doing, I trust it because I know it's laid a path before me that I'm safe to take. There's a reason for doing, right? And it's trusting that core. But to get to that space, to trust your core, to be aligned, starts with compassion for self, compassion for the turmoil around us. Choices you talked about, Sarah. We can choose to be the victim, or we could choose to rise above the victimization and become the triumphant. And that triumphant is that I am no longer the victim, right? I have the power within me not to be manipulated, right? I'm selfish enough to look after myself so that I am there for others, and that I am enough in who I am and why I'm here and what I'm here to do, because I've journeyed to this path to be at one with self in my meaningful purpose.
So well put, both of you. It's so important to love every aspect of ourself. And if you struggle with the word love, to care about yourself, to have the compassion for yourself. Use words you are comfortable with that supports you. I do inner child work. It is my inner child is happy. She is comfortable. She feels seen. She feels loved. She feels heard. And as she has felt that, because she didn't, as she has felt that, so do I feel that. So it's supporting every aspect of ourselves to feel seen, listened to, heard, and cared about. Every aspect, whatever you have gone through, whatever you've done in your life, if you are accepting of who you were and who you are. Because if we're in judgment of ourselves, that's not going to help us to be the best possible person we can be today and tomorrow and every day after that. So thank you, ladies, for your wisdom. Absolutely amazing. And I love the chat that we've had here today. Folks, you will find Linda's and Sara's information below the page you found the video on. You will find the links to their websites. With any of our guests, if anything has really spoken to you, they are open to being reached out to. We've written this book to support you. And I know how many people, well, I don't know how many, but I know that 102,000 last time I looked, people had watched a tiny video I recorded of an article I wrote. 102,000 people, 650 of those wrote messages under that video, and I responded to them all. And people were sharing their stories. They were feeling heard, they were feeling listened to, they suddenly didn't feel alone. That is what that tiny video did, and that is why the book. So I hope that you will realize that you are not alone. And there are those of us that have done a lot of work with ourselves, and we are here to help people to do the work that they require to for themselves. So thank you so much to Linda and to Sara. Take care, be safe, stay well. Namaste, sweet souls.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.